Neji Hyuga is one of the most philosophically complex characters in Naruto, because his story isn't just about strength or skill, it's about belief. A belief so deep, so ingrained, that it shaped the way he saw the world, himself, and everyone around him. Neji didn't just think fate was real, he believed it was absolute, unchangeable, final. And that belief came from pain, not theory. Born into the branch family of the Hyuga clan, Neji was marked from childhood with a seal that symbolized control. It wasn't just a physical mark, it was psychological conditioning. The branch family existed to serve the main family, to protect them, and if necessary, to die for them. From the moment Neji became aware of this reality, his identity was shaped by limitation. He wasn't free. His future wasn't his own. And when a child grows up in a system where their role is predetermined, they don't just accept fate, they internalize it. This is where Neji's philosophy begins. He starts to observe the world through the lens of hierarchy and inevitability. Some people are born gifted, others are not. Some are destined for greatness, others for servitude. And to Neji, no matter how hard you try, you cannot escape the role you were born into. This belief becomes his armor. Because if fate controls everything, then his suffering has meaning. Then his lack of freedom isn't injustice, it's destiny. But here's the deeper psychological truth. People often create rigid beliefs, not because they're true, but because they make pain easier to accept. If Neji admitted that life wasn't fixed, then he would also have to face the reality that his situation was unfair, that he was being limited by a system, not destiny. And that realization is far more painful than believing everything is predetermined. Neji's worldview is challenged directly when he faces Naruto Uzumaki during the Chunin exams. This fight is more than a battle of skill, it's a clash of philosophies. Neji stands there confident, composed, convinced that he already knows the outcome. To him, Naruto is a failure, an outcast with no talent, no lineage, no destiny. Someone who should not be able to stand against a genius like him. But Naruto represents something Neji cannot comprehend. Unpredictability, growth, the refusal to accept limits. Naruto doesn't deny that he was born with disadvantages. He doesn't pretend life is fair. But he rejects the idea that his future is already written. And that difference in mindset creates a crack in Neji's certainty. During the fight, Neji dominates at first. His skill, his precision, his Byakugan, everything reinforces his belief that talent and destiny determine outcomes. But then, something unexpected happens. Naruto keeps getting back up, again and again. Not because he's stronger, but because he refuses to accept defeat as his fate. And in that moment, the foundation of Neji's belief begins to shake. Because if fate is absolute, then Naruto should lose. There should be no deviation, no exception. But Naruto becomes that exception. And when Neji is finally defeated, it's not just a physical loss, it's a psychological collapse. For the first time, he is forced to confront the possibility that he might be wrong, that fate is not as fixed as he believed. This moment is critical, because breaking a limiting belief is one of the hardest things a person can experience. When your identity is built on a certain worldview, and that worldview is challenged, it creates internal chaos. Everything you thought was certain becomes uncertain. And in that space, you have two choices: double down on your belief or evolve. Neji chooses to evolve. But his transformation doesn't happen instantly. It begins subtly, through reflection and experience. He starts to question the narratives he once accepted without hesitation. And one of the most important influences in this process is Hinata Hyuga. Despite being part of the main family, Hinata shows kindness, empathy, and a quiet strength that contradicts Neji's rigid view of hierarchy. She doesn't treat him as someone beneath her, and that alone begins to shift his perception. As Neji grows, he starts to understand something deeper about freedom. Freedom is not just about external circumstances. Even within a system that imposes limits, there is still space for decision. Still space for meaning. Still space for growth. And this realization transforms how he approaches his life. By the time we see Neji later in the series, he is no longer the same person. He still acknowledges reality, but he no longer sees it as a prison. Instead, he sees it as a starting point, something that can be challenged, reshaped, and transcended through will and action. And this brings us to one of the most powerful aspects of Neji's story, his final act. In a moment of self-sacrifice, Neji chooses to protect Naruto and Hinata. But this time, it's different. This is not the branch family fulfilling its duty. This is not fate forcing his hand. This is choice. For someone who once believed he had no control over his life, that moment represents ultimate freedom. Because true free will is not about having unlimited options. It's about owning the decisions you make, regardless of circumstance. Neji's sacrifice is not tragic in the way it once would have been. It's meaningful. It's intentional. It's his. Neji's journey teaches a powerful lesson about psychological limits. The biggest barriers we face are often not physical, they're mental. They're the beliefs we inherit, the narratives we accept, the identities we adopt without questioning. And once those beliefs take root, they shape everything. Our actions, our confidence, our expectations. But just like Neji, those beliefs can be challenged. They can be broken. Not easily, not instantly, but through experience, through contradiction, and through the willingness to question what we once thought was absolute truth. The idea of fate versus free will is not just an anime theme, it's a real-life struggle. Many people feel trapped by their circumstances, their background, their past. They believe their future is already decided. But Neji's story reminds us that while we may not control where we start, we have more influence over where we go than we think. Because the moment you challenge a limiting belief, you create possibility. And the moment you act against that belief, you create change. Neji Hyuga started as someone who believed his life was already written. But he became someone who wrote his own meaning. And in doing so, he showed that true strength is not just about ability, it's about perspective. It's about looking at the script you were given and deciding you're not going to follow it blindly.